Good morning, everyone. Thank you for all showing up, the few that made it out during this drizzly, dreary day. I found it important for us as a town to do something in honor of Memorial Day, so we quickly got this together. We hope that it grows over time. And it is part of our open air markets, though that seems rained out today. So we're gathered here today to honor those who gave their lives in service to our country. I'd like to start the program today, if we will, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So one of the things we promoted the day about was to read some poetry by a man named Joyce Kilmer. Joyce Kilmer was a U.S. serviceman who died in action in 1918 while serving overseas in World War I. During the Second Battle of Marin, he led a scouting mission to locate a German machine gun and was shot dead by a sniper. He's buried in France, but he's memorialized in New Brunswick, about an hour and a half away from here. Dead at 31, his literary career never grew richer with age. He was an essayist and a poet. So today, I'm going to read two poems by Joyce Kilmer and then ask one of the residents of Sussex Borough to join me. Prayer of a Soldier in France by Joyce Kilmer. My shoulders ache beneath my pack, lie easier cross upon his back. I march with feet that burn and smart, tread holy feet upon my heart. Men shout at me who may not speak, they scourge thy back and smote thy cheek. I may not lift a hand to clear my eyes of salty drips that sear. Then shall my fickle soul forget thy agony of bloody sweat. My rifle hand is stiff and numb, for thy pierced palm red rivers come. Lord, thou didst suffer more for me than all the hosts of land and sea. So let me render back again this millionth of thy gift. Amen. Again, that was a Prayer of a Soldier in France by Joyce Kilmer. And this is The Thorn. The garden of God is a radiant place, and every flower has a holy face. Our Lady, like a lily, bends above the cloudy sod, but St. Michael is the thorn on the rose bush of God. David is the song upon God's lips, and Our Lady is the goblet that he sips, and Gabriel's the breath of his command, but St. Michael is the sword in God's right hand. The ivory tower is fair to see, and may her walls encompass me. But when the devil comes with the thunder of his might, St. Michael, show me how to fight. And not all of his poems were about war. In fact, he spent more than a decade writing with 4 books under his belt, well before he joined the service, and his most beloved, or most, maybe perhaps not beloved, but most popular poem that made poetry very popular at the time was Trees. And I'd like to ask Carlo to come up and read it for us.
This is Trees by Joyce Kilmer. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree.
So the second part of the program we promised was a brief history of the borough of Sussex in service to our nation. So the borough of Sussex has a rich military history from even prior to our nation's founding. During the Revolutionary War, this tri-state region, known as the Minnesink region, was sought as an inland route to travel between New England, New York, and Philadelphia. As the British and their indigenous allies tried to move and disrupt these movements, it was frontiersmen in outpost militias that thwarted these events. Calls went out to towns in this region, and men from Wantage and then Deckertown joined men from Milford, PA, Goshen, and Warwick, New York, to fend off British scouts moving into the Port Jervis area. The only true battle of the Revolution that was around here was the Battle of Minnesink, took place north of Port Jervis along the Delaware. Captain Samuel Meeker led the New Jersey contingent and was third in command on the American side. He owned a 700-acre farm not far from here in Wantage. During that campaign, he was shot in the left shoulder, but he returned home. 48 patriots died there, and it took decades to recover those dead. What is now a 25-mile scenic drive was just too far remote for families to go claim the bodies. There is a memorial to the unknown dead of the Revolutionary War there across the river. There's a vastly easier way to honor the dead nowadays, yet we're distracted sometimes. And that is why I thank you again for coming here today. From this very point, there are service members from the Revolution and the War of 1812 buried 1 mile away from here in all directions, north, south, east, and west. Some who died in battle and some who came home and continued in the community. At the eve of the Civil War, local West Point graduate Hugh Justin Kilpatrick recruited men for the Union in what is now the Early American Tavern just a block away. These men fought in places like Manassas and Gettysburg. It is known that at least 16 Sussex County this Monday, Memorial Day, we honor those that made the supreme sacrifice and gave their lives in service to this nation and their country. Found only one fatality in Sussex of a Sussex borough resident who died during the First World War, the war that was to end all wars. So let us take a moment to honor Charles D. Fuller, who at the age of 29 died of pneumonia just 2 months after traveling overseas by ship while serving in the 312th Engineer Corps. His mother, Susan Miller, received notice not far from this spot that her son had passed via telegram. This war was not the war to end all wars, and Sussex Borough answered the call in droves at the beginning of World War II. You can read the names of all the service personnel who answered that call on the plaques that currently stand in front of Borough Hall, but today we honor those that passed. I'd like to now ask Damaris Lira, a member of the Recreation Committee and a committed community member, and our Mayor, Ed Meyer, to come up and join me and help us honor those Sussex Borough residents who died in service to the United States in World War II fighting tyranny.
Frank McCluskey.
John R. Trudgeon.
Philip W. Ayers.
Daniel K. Morvan.
Donald Rose.
Henry Mangles.
Carlos Whitty.
Edward Barton.
Edward R. Hornbeck.
Elmer W. Quince.
Robert Gemmer.
Howard L. Van Eaton.
James T. Weston.
Like earlier wars, there are men and women who fought and served in Korea and Vietnam buried not far from here. Some had come home in coffins. We are here today to honor them. But it also takes a village, and there's often a quiet pride to servicemen and women who do not make it something that they boast about. Only a few miles up the road, a Vietnam infantry vet came home to live in quiet and tend to cows and help run a museum dedicated to the legacy of the Revolution. And just 1 block away, another veteran doesn't talk much about his service to our country because he only drew pictures for the manuals that trained his fellow soldiers. Surely one of those manuals saved a life through that knowledge. So yes, Sussex Borough and the surrounding area has a rich military history. Even today, service women, men and women, some with scars that we do not see, after tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, have found a peaceful spot here in the borough to settle down, purchase a house, and call it home. On a personal note, I'd like to honor Army Specialist Carlos Gonzalez, who attended Menacing Valley High School just over the border in New York and died in 2006 while serving in Iraq. I'd like to honor Marine Sergeant Chris Herbeck, who summered with his family in Wantage growing up. He died in 2010 touring in Afghanistan. Both were my friends, and each Memorial Day, my thoughts turn to them. And it is important for me today to recognize them and say their names, so thank you. I really want to thank everyone who did come out today. Surely everyone who was in the service dealt with a lot worse weather than this. I want to thank Anita Anthony, who puts on the open market, is the head of our recreation committee. She's a wonderful lady that makes a lot happen in this town. I also want to thank Mario Poggi, the head of Sussex Wantage Historical Society, who's sponsoring the markets and helped make this happen today. So I thank you all for coming here today. Today we honor those who did not have a chance to come home. Today we honor those who died in service to this nation. So if you will, please join me in 1 minute of silence for them. Thank you. So on a brighter note, I hope that everyone has a really good summer. Starts a lot of great things. In town, we're doing the open air markets every other week. Essentially, you can see more about that on our Sussex Recreation page. And today we have a very special day too, because it's Mario's birthday. So if he'd come up here, head of Sussex Wantage Historical Society, came out here, and I have a gift for him.
Thanks for ambushing me, Steve.
Yeah. Here you go.
Oh.
This is a bottle from Dagmar Farms, which is now part of the Wallkill River National Wildlife Refuge.
Perfect.
That bottle surely flowed through Sussex at some point.
Yep. Says right on it. Sussex, New Jersey. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Excellent.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you again for everyone who came out.